Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kalish. So dalam channel ni kita akan borak semua benda pasal bola, dan hari ini adalah satu video yang agak istimewa. Sebab apa? Sebab ini adalah video preview final Euro 2020. Yang finally, when I say finally, I mean finally England sampai ke final. So England punya opponent kali ini adalah England akan menentang Itali. Dua tim yang agak kuat dalam Euro kali ini, dan dua tim yang have been outperforming their expectation lah dalam Euro kali ini. Aku rasa tak ada siapa-siapa yang sangka Italy dan England akan ke final. Orang maybe predict either Germany or France or Portugal, Belgium and all those teams. Dan juga kalau kita tengok keempat-empat semi-finalis, Italy, Spain, Denmark, England, semuanya adalah bukan antara favourite untuk ke semi-final lah. Orang akan expect bigger teams like I said before. So hari ni dalam preview ni, apa kita nak tengok adalah perlawanan-perlawanan untuk Italy dan England sebelum final, sampai ke semi-final. Dan juga kita nak tengok apa agak-agak akan jadi time final ni dan apa prediction personal aku. Okay, so kita akan mulakan dengan review tim Italy. So kalau kita tengok tim Italy ni, mereka memulakan saingan Euro 2020 dengan kemenangan ke atas Turkey 3-0. It was a good overall performance. I think this Italian team, they exceeded expectation in the sense that kita expect tim Italy untuk main more defensive. Diorang biasanya very solid defensively, tapi Roberto Mancini dah menerapkan sesuatu identity yang baru, iaitu a more attacking and a more direct approach. Aku ada discuss dengan kawan-kawan aku, bila kita tengok midfield Italy ni adalah midfield yang agak rapid. Kita tengok Manuel Locatelli, Nicolo Barella, Verratti, mereka tak takut untuk nak move forward dan juga untuk score goal. Kita tengok Pessina coming off the bench and scoring the goal in the later stages, which we'll discuss later. Dan juga pasukan Italy ni, kalau kita tengok, dia ada very good wingers. Chiesa, Berardi, Insigne, wingers yang boleh cut in dan shoot, wingers yang boleh go to the byline dan cross. So mereka adalah team yang very attacking. Dan juga bila kita tengok left back dia, Spinazzola, yang unfortunately will be out of this game because of injury. So ini, macam aku cakap tadi, ini adalah tim Italy yang exceed expectation kita. So kita nampak first game ketika menentang Turkey, kemudian mereka kalahkan Switzerland dengan scoreline yang sama juga, 3-0. Ni Locatelli menjaringkan 2 gol. Bila kita tengok, ini adalah squad Italy yang baru, identity Italy, permainan yang baru. Mereka adalah very rapid and also very direct in the sense when they attack. So kemudian third group game, diorang kalahkan Wales 1-0. Walaupun game tu is a dead rubber game for them, mereka still bermain dengan penuh passion, dan juga they ended the group stage with 0 goal conceded and 7 goals scored. And I think at that time they were the top scorer, if I'm not mistaken lah. Dan juga dengan no goals conceded, that is very impressive, because they were dominating teams and teams were not able to get behind them. And when they get behind, there's Donnarumma, a goalkeeper who I think have been 22 for the past couple of years, but have been brilliant. He has been brilliant, Donnarumma. Kemudian Italy mara ke round 16 menentang Austria. Mereka memenangi perlawanan tu 2-1 dengan gol semua coming after extra time. Ini menunjukkan strength of depth in the Italy team. Bila kita tengok dengan first team dia tak berjaya menjaringkan gol. Jadi bila Roberto Mancini buat pertukaran, masukkan Pessina, masukkan Chiesa, dua-dua menjaringkan gol, dan level of play tu tidak bertukar. Ini adalah satu poin yang membuatkan Italy satu contender yang kuat untuk Euro pada kali ini. Dan juga aku ada buat prediction dengan kawan-kawan aku. Kita ada buat satu competition after group stage, kita orang predict, dan memang prediction aku is Italy and England in the final. England tu mungkin sebab ada personal bias sebenarnya, dan Italy memang purely on performance, and I feel on their day they can beat every team that is given to them. Di quarter final berjumpa dengan satu pasukan yang kuat, pasukan Belgium. Of course sebelum tu ada talks about Italy not conceding goal in how many games, I can't remember, but aku ada terasalah boleh ke tim Itali ni sebenarnya menentang tim besar, dan juga mereka prove aku wrong. Diorang kalahkan Belgium, and this Belgium team is like we all know is the golden generation of Belgium team. Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, Romelu Lukaku, the defenders Vertonghen, Vermaelen, Alderweireld, Witsel dan juga Tielemans di midfield. So bila kita tengok ni adalah satu tim Belgium yang kuat, tapi diorang berjaya kalahkan dengan a very dominant performance 2-1, and they only conceded from a penalty, from a Romelu Lukaku penalty. So start pada ni aku dah boleh rasa yang tim Italy ni memang very strong and is probably the favourites to win the tournament at this time. Okay, so kemudian kita move to the next game, which was Italy against Spain. So kita pun macam cakap tadi, kita tak sangka Spain yang akan sampai ke sini, sebab bila kita tengok squad Spain ni adalah squad Spain yang agak lain, sebab this is not the Spain that is playing the tiki-taka passing football. Diorang ada the number 9, the proper centre forward main, Morata dan Moreno, walaupun mungkin ada argument whether they are proper centre forward or not. So ketika Spain menentang Italy, Spain berjaya memenangi perlawanan midfield, which is the key battle in the game sebenarnya. Spain ended the game with I think 70% possession. They had 16 shots, 5 on target, compared to Italy who had 7 shots and 4 on target. Dan juga bila kita tengok expected goals ni adalah satu metrik untuk mengira berapa chance yang di-create tu besar mana. So expected goal Spain sebenarnya adalah 1.5, manakala expected goal Italy adalah 0.8. So bila kita tengok, kita boleh nampak yang ini membuktikan this Italy team, they are also able to play without the ball. Even tak ada bola pun diorang still boleh menang, walaupun hanya menang penalti, tapi disebabkan mentality. Okay, so bila kita cakap pasal mentality ni, kita boleh nampak mentality tim Itali kali ni adalah sangat berbeza. Mereka ada semangat sepasukan tu, mereka betul-betul bermain untuk negara. Kita boleh nampak ketika mereka menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan diorang betul-betul semangat dan diorang betul-betul menghayati lirik tu, dan mereka mengambil tu sebagai diorang punya war cry untuk go into battle on the pitch ni. Diorang mengibaratkan benda tu sebagai satu peperangan untuk negara. Ini juga kita boleh nampak diterapkan oleh coach sendiri. Coach adalah former international players who have represented at national team before. Roberto Mancini, Luca Vialli, yang I think membawa semangat Itali tu ke players-players, dan juga players sanggup, they would do anything for the badge, untuk mempertahankan badge tu. Dan juga this game menunjukkan betapa kuatnya mental diorang. Even at penalty, it was as if they know they're going to win. It was as if they are confident in each other. They have that camaraderie. So mereka memenangi perlawanan tu dengan penalty. Of course, you can talk about the Morata miss, you can talk about the Dani Olmo miss, but at the end of the day, Italy won. So we now move on to England. So kalau kita tengok this England team, they started very unconvincingly with a 1-0 win against Croatia. A lot of people, I think, question Gareth Southgate punya selection. Kenapa Sterling, kenapa dua holding midfielder, Declan Rice dan Kevin Phillips. Tapi bila kita tengok throughout the tournament, I think Kevin Phillips have been able to prove himself as not being a defensive midfielder. Dia boleh jadi ball carrier, dan juga dia boleh ping passes all across the pitch, and he's been quite impressive so far, very reliable on the ball. So bila kita tengok dalam game ni, mereka menang 1-0, Kevin Phillips assist, Raheem Sterling goal. Everyone was not convinced. Okay, and then datang game kedua pula, lagilah orang marah sebab draw lawan Scotland 0-0, which I feel that, I don't know how Southgate feels, of course. In my opinion, I felt that they were happy with the win, and it was 4 points. It's a tournament game. There's still chance of progression, so they went for it, obviously. So after that game, I think the media and everyone on Twitter was slating Southgate. He doesn't know how to use the squad, blah blah blah. And to be honest, I was one of them juga. I was questioning, but I tried to keep it to myself. Maybe there's something that he sees in training that we don't see. Okay, and then come the third game, England menentang Czech Republic pula di final game. There were calls for some players to play, tapi tak main. Dia he still went with Sterling, Kane and Saka up front. So bila kita tengok pula game tu, I think this is when England started to build a little bit of momentum. Kita nampak dalam game tu Harry Kane pun get more on the ball. First 2 games he was nowhere to be seen. This game he got more on the ball. He tried to make things happen, and also although he didn't score, it was Sterling again. Bagi aku, it was a convincing performance enough that make me predict a win in the next game. So, come the next game, ini adalah satu rivalry yang paling besar dalam international football, iaitu England menentang Germany. England tak pernah kalahkan Germany dalam knockout football since 1966 when they won the World Cup. So, their last knockout football meeting at Wembley was in 1996 Euro semi-final. Gareth Southgate missed a penalty obviously, and we all know the story after that. So England menentang Germany. This Germany team, they did struggle against Hungary. Diorang berjaya kalahkan Portugal convincingly 4-2. Diorang kalah dengan France 1-0 di perlawanan pertama mereka. Jadi time prediction tu, ramai yang kata Germany akan go through because of the quality and also the fact that England tak dapat Harry Kane firing. Sterling was the only one scoring the goal. There's not much firepower lah orang kata in this England team. And I think this England team proved everyone wrong. Southgate nampak macam dia tahu apa dia buat. He started with Saka. There were a lot of calls for Grealish, Sancho, and then after that, after few minutes, dia tahu bila nak bawa Grealish masuk. Dan Grealish betul-betul menukar perlawanan tu. He was involved in both goals. The first goal, the Sterling goal, dia yang set up Luke Shaw for that pass, and then Sterling score, and then dia juga yang cross untuk Harry Kane to get his first goal. And as you all know, aku dapat some invitation with my friend Zakil to go on TV3 punya show Malaysia hari ini, dan juga aku predict benda tu sebenarnya. Aku predict yang Harry Kane will fire back in the Germany game. So maybe aku Paul the Octopus baru, who knows. Dan saya yakin kali ni sebenarnya lawan Germany with the local rivalry dengan main di Wembley dan juga the prospect of main Wembley final and also semi-final, I think macam saya cakap tadi, it will give the push to England and also Harry Kane lah akan get fire back. So selepas kemenangan yang bersejarah England menentang Germany, of course there were a lot of national pride lah in that for the English. Diorang go to Rome pula, first game away from home, first game away from Wembley. Diorang menentang Ukraine, dan diorang kalahkan Ukraine ni very convincingly 4-0. Dan maybe start pada tu, maybe sesetengah peminat England yang aku kenal, maybe time tu baru kita orang start rasa yang maybe it's coming home. Maybe Harry Kane score 2, Luke Shaw with a brilliant performance, and also up to this point until the quarter final, no goal conceded in 5 games. So kudos to the England punya defense team dan juga goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who have been brilliant, who showed brilliance this whole tournament. So bila kita move on pula to the semi-final, England menentang Denmark. Denmark adalah satu pasukan yang kita pun tak sangka akan sampai ni, especially after what happened to them in the first game, with the tragedy of Christian Eriksen. Of course, kita semua kat sini, kita mengharapkan Christian Eriksen sembuh cepat, dan hopefully it's nothing too serious. Whether dia dapat main bola ke tak, itu adalah subject to medical expert punya, not my place to comment. But I feel Denmark, they have impressively made their way to the semi-final. Diorang ada very strong team, diorang solid defensively, a very good goalkeeper in Kasper Schmeichel. So England menentang Denmark, mereka menang after extra time 2-1. Of course kita pun tahu how it goes. A lot of debate pasal the penalty that was given to Harry Kane, but for me, it's a penalty. If you don't agree, leave it in the comment and leave a like, of course, because I know most of you don't agree, so I'll get more likes if you don't agree with me. So leave a like, don't worry. Leave a comment, bash me or anything. I'm happy. Okay, now it's time for the final prediction. So final Italy menentang England, England's first final since 1966. Siapa Prime Minister Malaysia time 1966? Tunku Abdul Rahman. Ketika tu very impressive, very long time ago. Untuk fan England macam aku dan bapak aku was born in 1970. This is the first time yang dia nampak England mari ke final. So bagi aku, kat mana this game can be won and can be lost, it's not the midfield, because kalau kita tengok, it has been proven in the Spanish game, in the Spain-Italy game, Spain pegang midfield, Spain was passing the ball around. Aku rasa this game will be won with the forward line, the three forward line of both teams against each back four. Okay, sebab dua-dua tim, kalau kita tengok, dua-dua tim suka menggunakan pace. Contohnya Chiesa, Insigne, Berardi. Untuk England pula, Saka, Sterling, kalau Sancho masuk, dan juga the touches of Jack Grealish. So bila kita tengok this matchup of the front three against the back four of each team, tim yang mana yang menang sebenarnya? Bagi aku, if we put one-on-one, Immobile against Stones and Kane, absolutely Stones and Kane. Insigne against Walker, that might be 50-50, but I think I'll go for Walker on this one. Chiesa against Luke Shaw, I think it's Luke Shaw. But if you look at the other side, Sterling against Di Lorenzo, Kane against Bonucci, Chiellini, yang mungkin, dan juga Kane ada ability untuk drop deep and collect the ball. Maybe Mason Mount or Saka or Sterling will make the run, who knows. Bagi aku, ini adalah satu game of football that will be very fascinating. Personally, untuk aku, whether England win it or not, I'm happy because we made it to the final. It's progress, it's good progress. I think Southgate have proven a lot of people wrong this time, and also to make it to the final is a big achievement in ourselves. But I'm sure they would want to bring it home because one, it's playing at home, and also bila kita tengok sentimen negara tu sendiri, what they have been through for the past year, I think they have that togetherness and they have the nation behind them. Some may say it's an unfair advantage because England bermain di home semua game, tapi it was decided by UEFA few years back, so it's fair. So nothing unfair about that. If you want to say anything, say in the comments. Good interaction for me. You get to rant, that's good for you. So final prediction score untuk aku, like I said, I'm excited for the matchup of the front three against the back four of each team, and also the two midfield threes. Final prediction score untuk aku will be a close win for England. It will be 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, those sort of score lines. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more videos. We'll have more videos in the future for the Premier League, the upcoming Premier League season. We'll do more football previews like this. Let me know what I can improve, and don't forget to subscribe.